Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Ubuntu channel. This is Tuesday Politics. Let's talk about politics, and let's talk politics. We welcome you to join us this evening. My name is Himba Malambo, and with me in the studio, my co-host is CJ Jibonta Jule, who will be joining me soon. CJ, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Himba. Good evening, viewers. Yes, it's another exciting Tuesday, and we're talking politics. Himba, how's been the day?
Not bad, but very tiring. I had a lot to do in the day, and I feel 24 hours was not enough. How was your day, CJ?
It was fine. Mufuna wadingeko inkareko 26, 27 hours.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
CJ, what is our what is the topic of discussion this evening?
So this evening we are looking at political violence and national events. Let me just say politics and national events. So we'll be delving into that, especially with the recent occurrences. We should be able to have an exciting 1 hour plus minutes together on that topic.
Thank you so much, CJ. Our viewers there, you're welcome to join us in the studio using any language you are comfortable with, as long as you're not insulting our leaders, you're not disrespecting our leaders. Our leaders here, the panelists, they are all protected. And even if you are referring to any political leader, you have to be mindful the language you're going to use. This is a debate which is issue-based, no character assassination, no propaganda here. If you bring up an issue, it should be an issue based and you've got evidence, or it should be factual. Here, the panelists, they are all protected. You can write a comment. If you write a personal comment, we won't read it, because we are not talking about that individual. We are talking about politics here and its violence. We've got different representatives from different political parties. We've got a representation from which parties, CJ?
Please. So we have Chairman Patson Chalwe Kasongo. Good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu channel.
Thank you very much. Good evening to our viewers and our listeners on this broadcast. Thank you very much, CJ. Thank you very much, Himba, for welcoming us as citizens first. Thank you.
It's nice to have you on the program.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
So we also have Comrade Bwalya Nondo Dennis from PF. Good evening, Comrade Nondo. Good evening, Comrade Nondo. Probably network issues. I'm sure he will join in as we go on.
Himba. Okay. Thank you so much, CJ, and thank you so much, viewers out there. Ndyashitira ndapo lero lyashirya ama national events nelyashirya nkondo mukyalo natkwata ba Comrade Nondo from the PF, natkwata naba Chalwe from CF. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, citizens first.
Yeah. So would want our viewers also to come in. We are inviting you to come in to join us, whichever means you can and whichever platform. If you're able to join us through the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you're welcome. We'll be able to read your comment and we'll be able to bring you in the studio. However, we've been joined by Mukelabai. Mukelabai, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Even though I'm still 3 minutes to reach home, but otherwise I'm fine and I'm following. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Comrade, our viewers, I'd also love to apologize on behalf of Comrade Nondo. He's actually having connectivity issues with the network. Hopefully, as we go on, it will settle. I know, but you're not on camera.
Yes. You're right.
Comrade Nondo, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Madam Himba. How are you?
I'm fine,
the
thank
viewers, Mwalinda Shani Mkwai, Mwachoma Bwanji.
Tuwalimi fuluka last week, mwali kwisa?
Ali kuli ba movie TV.
Mwalire nga twashotera munda muli maayo. Kumani. It's nice to have you, my dear brother. CJ,
thank you very much, Mama.
Wow. We get started with the program. You know, national events such as Independence Day, we have Heroes, Women's Day, Youth Day. You know, usually they are politically charged. That's what we've been observing of late. And we can't even talk about elections. Elections are something else altogether. But under normal circumstances, these national events are supposed to be able to bring us together. Now, I'll start with Comrade Nondo. We've been seeing a lot of politicking and violence in these events. Maybe you could give us, from your perspective, the background to the politicking that we have been seeing during these national events.
Okay, thank you very much, CJ. We need to acknowledge that politics is a competition. And in most cases, people take advantage of these national events to flex their political muscles, because every citizen participates in those events. So to most political players, those are events where they feel like showcasing their political, ambitions, their political strength, their political influence. So as a result, those that feel intimidated might resort to provocation. Even those that feel they are more powerful, they are more politically powerful than others, they also want to show off to prove a point that, yes, they are the ones that are holding on to political power. Therefore, they need to be respected, even where they don't deserve respect. Especially that we have a political system that in most cases do not look at the merit of these political players. In most cases, you find that the big fishes in the political arena are not directly involved in political fights or political violence, but they are the architectures of every violence that you see. These violence that we see during elections, during national events, are politically sponsored. We cannot run away. They are sponsored in such a way that the big fishes would want, the debt sweepers to protect their interest, to show off that they are more powerful. So this one is going to mobilize a lot of youths that will be around them as a sign of, having political influence. So on the other side, it will happen in the same way. Therefore, you find that there's now crashes between the youths that supports different, political parties or political players. If only we can have genuine leaders that would actually inculcate the culture that promotes peace and unity in these political parties. Madam Himba and everybody and all the viewers, you know that politicians, especially here in Zambia, politicians have always been the same. It doesn't matter which political party you are in today. Tomorrow, you will put on a different jacket, like we've seen. Today I can be, a PF. Tomorrow I can join another political party. So it's not the political party that you join in, but the characters, even the most violent. For instance, if I'm in PF and I'm very violent, UPND will condemn with with that admiration to say, if only he can come to our camp. That's why you find that these thugs would actually leave with this political party and be welcomed in that other political party. That's the scenario that we have. So you are only condemned if you don't belong to their camp. But immediately you join their camp, you become an angel. And they will even protect you and provide lawyers to protect you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Nondo. I'll turn to you, Chairman Chalwe. Your perspective in terms of the background to the political violence and the politicking that we have been seeing in these or during the national events. What's your perspective?
Comrade Nondo, it's very nice to have you back. We missed you last week. Yeah. Allow me to say that politics is modern form of warfare. And I feel that's a starting point. For as long as we've known history, I think it has shown that power tussling, there's no time in history when people accepted that one group of people is supposed to be the one in charge of the affairs of the people. And in the same way, in our current generation, we have moved towards a different way of doing our warfare. And this type of warfare is through democratic means. Instead of getting to the street where this group of people, in those days it was traditional groups, you'll find the Bemba people of Northern Province versus the Ngoni people of Eastern Province. They fight, physically fighting.
Well, we seem to have lost Comrade Chalwe there. Okay, great. So I'll move to Mukelabai so that we can have his introductory remarks and perspective over the background of politicking and the political violence during the national events. Mukelabai.
Well, thank you so much. It's sad that our brother just fell off. I was actually ready to listen to his contribution, and I'm happy to also, I just want to thank Nondo for his powerful introduction over. Okay, let's go to him first before his internet throws him out again.
All right, thank you very much. Chairman Chalwe, over to you. You are muted. If you can unmute.
Okay. The modern warfare has changed. Instead of having punch for punch, we have decided to go the democratic way. Those days, leader would decide who to go and battle with. This time, it's the people that decide which person they want. Now, as we are moving towards this, one thing I've come to understand personally is that if I am having a conversation with the Nondo or Mukelabai, if I see that my ideas are not getting through, and Mukelabai has better ideas, I am going to resort to the next thing. Attack the man because I don't have the ideas.
connectivity issues there. Himba, maybe you can come in at this point.
I really wanted to hear his submissions, as Mukelabai said. And before I go any further, and before we bring in Mukelabai, probably I would have a reaction. I would want Comrade Nondo to react to this. Comrade Nondo, why do you call these young people who are being used as tools for violence as thugs?
Repeat your question again. You are breaking a bit.
Why do you refer these young people or the youths who are being used as tools for violence by the political leaders as thieves or thugs?
You are breaking just when you're about to make a point.
I would want you to react to this.
Yes.
Why do you refer the young people or the youths who are being used as tools for political violence as thugs or thieves? Why do you refer them to those titles?
Very simple, Himba. Thuggery is a form of violence. It's an act of violence where you want to attack people whom you feel do not agree with you, where you deliberately want to break the law. And this is exactly what these young people do, because they have so much energy and they happen to have nothing positive to do where they can actually direct their energy to. And the old politicians knows very well, in every society, youths are the ones that brings about positive or negative change because they have so much energy. So you will find that old ones, because they've lived longer and they've had opportunities to make money, so they use money instead of their physical strength. So they will use their financial muscle to sponsor the young ones who have the ability to fight physically. Especially if you are turanda muchibemba ati umutwe ushibomba emo satana apalire mbao. A dormant mind is the devil's workshop. So instead of giving young people or empowering young people with something that can, change their lives in a positive manner, the old politician would deliberately keep the young people desperate so that when that time of physical confrontation comes, they have a point where to get people who can do the right job or a job, that job for them. So that's why we refer to them as, thugs, because of what they indulge themselves into. That criminality which they conduct is what qualifies them to be thugs.
Thank you so much, Comrade Nondo. I'll still come back to you. I have a follow-up question on that one. Mukelabai,
not a problem.
We come as we go to Comrade Mukelabai in his introduction remarks. I would also want him to whether he also agree that we should call these young people as thugs. Mukelabai, over to you.
Why should we? Thank you so much, Himba, and thank you, comrades, for your awesome contribution. I think on this one, I really am very much in agreeable with both the speaker on the issue of political violence in when we have elections and other national celebrations. It's so sad to see that, like Nondo put it, that he talked of big fish being sponsoring groups of youths to perpetrate violence, and yet them they are just sitting, and it's the youths that are busy throwing stones. And so to me, I find that is immoral, if at all the not if at all, but we know for the fact that we have leaders that have shown that, and we feel we should do away with that. And calling, your question was calling young men?
Both
Calling them
young,
thugs.
Well, the behavior is the one that makes us to put them or to categorize them in that thuggery manner, the way they behave, the way they come out, you know. But it's not fair for us, especially the adults that are in the forefront in decision makings, to even be in the forefront calling the people that we use, they are our darlings when we need votes. And when they when they come out and start crying for either the promises that they have been promised and the things are not working, they start resorting into violence, then we start calling them thugs. I think we should be careful when we call such young youths that we are using as elderly in political violence as thugs. We have to be careful, because when we point them a finger to say they are thugs, look at the other three fingers. Who are they pointing at? Right back at us, the society, and the people that are busy calling them thugs. We are the biggest thugs that ought to administer or to show leadership, where we have to remove or eradicate this pandemic of violence in political party during special occasions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mukelabai. Comrade Mukelabai, I'll get back to you. I also have a follow-up question for you. I think my angle of reacting in such a manner is that I feel these young people, it's not their responsibility that they reason in such a manner where they resort to violence. As Comrade Nondo has mentioned, and I'm sure all other speakers has agreed, is that there are big fish behind this act. So me, I feel these are just tools who are being used. And for us to start labeling those names, I find it to be unfair. I would rather we call the thugs the big fish. Nondo, 5 minutes to make your main submission. Over to you.
No, I hear you, Mama Himba, but we need to agree on one thing. Every person has a free will to make, and those thugs that we are talking about are not young people that cannot make independent decisions. I give myself as a very good example. I've been in politics for the longest period of time, but because I have a tag on myself, that tag actually disqualifies me to be in that category that would just accept anything. If they say, let's go and fight, then you find yourself in there. This is the message that I've been preaching to all the young people in politics, that you need to find your position. Identify yourself. Who are you? If you are coming into politics without knowing who you are, or without having the conscious awareness of who you are, then definitely they will quickly spot to say, all right, this one is going to be our media guy, this one is going to be our panga carrying guy. So you cannot blame the old ones. In fact, young people offer themselves. They present themselves in such a way that it's very easy for an old politician to know, oh, Nondo can actually fit in this cluster. So we should not even feel bad calling them thugs, because it's a choice that they make for themselves. They present themselves as very desperate people who need to do such work in order for them to be paid. So those are the right terms to call them. We cannot be good to each other. We cannot be good about, what they do. I don't care whether they are from PF or whatever political party they come from. A wrong is a wrong, regardless of who is doing it.
But
that has been my principle.
I really appreciate. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate. But my concern is these young people who are being used as tools for violence. Here comes a big politician with a big belly, with a big car, and then this guy says, 500. This is a young person who has no source of income, and apparently his mother is sick.
Himba,
is it
legally, that cannot be a justification for one to engage in any act of violence. If some of us tells you our background, then you understand that nobody should use that as an excuse to find themselves in there, and we should not sympathize with them. We need to be hard on them and tell them there's a right way to contribute to your country, to contribute and make better your society, rather than presenting yourself as a desperate person who can go and kill because you don't have akasaka kabunga, who can go and beat up somebody because you are vulnerable. But at the end of the day, look at these guys. Their lives do not change, even if they are sponsored to come and beat up Bwalya Nondo. Even tomorrow they will be just one and the same. In the same way, nothing changes, because the survival of the big fishes is dependent on the failure and the current status of those young people. So they should maintain the status quo in order for them to be the best Yusuf fools or Yusuf idiots. You get it? So if we are going to sympathize with them to say, no, it's because of the background, it's because of the, the poverty situation that they are in, we are all coming from a poverty background. And we've just made a principle that I need to give myself a value that everybody must respect. We have nothing but respect and dignity to ourselves. And this is what we need. We cannot be preaching like, preachers would stand before the people and say, repent, without realizing that they also need repentance. You get it? I have no sympathy, and I don't get any excuse or any justification for any young person who gets involved in that, because it's a choice. I'm a living testimony. If I so wished I should have been part of those thugs that would go and beat up a person because he is carrying or is having a different view from the one they support.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade Nondo. CJ, over to you.
Well, thank you very much for those submissions. Chairman is in, and hoping that his network doesn't disappoint us again.
I hope so.
We need you to, yeah, we need you to make you to get into your main submissions, and as you are making your submissions, also touch on the possibility, or let me say, should these national events be politicized? The situation where we are now seeing, where we've been seeing political, different political parties with their branding and this kind of thing that we have been seeing. Is it okay for national events to be covered in such a manner?
Or being used as campaign platforms?
Wow. Unfortunately, network as usual. I'm going to bring in Mukelabai. Mukelabai, if you can attend to the question that I had asked Chairman. Is it okay for national events to be used as campaign platforms? The way we've been seeing this politicking and the branding all over. Is it okay for national events to be politicized?
Well, national events to be politicized, I find that to be a little bit tricky in a sense that the people that will be taking in charge or take charge into participating in these national issues, you find that they are actually politicians and, of course, in the civil society. People may come in at one place, they are required to come together and participate. And the people that have the upper hand in most of the cases, you find these are government officials who actually came into these institutions by way of politics. If it wasn't for politics, they were not going to be in those positions. So national events, yes, politicians are supposed to participate. They are also part and parcel of the society. However, it is not it is not a place where we start now bringing issues of campaign, start campaigning or start praising yourselves or condemning others during a specific national issue. For example, National Women's Day. Instead of women being in charge and talk about their success, about their achievements, about the challenges that they are facing as women, what do we see? Politicians come in and take over the events. Even the reporters, the reporting system, you find our journalists, instead of reporting on the particular topic, the event, they go ahead and start reporting on who attended, how many. You see the number. This is how it is supposed to be. The intimidations. You find a group of people that are arguing or pocket of violence here and there. That is where they go and capture to give the information to the world to say this is how we celebrate National Women's Day. To me, that is where I draw the line. I say, we are actually not being reasonable as a nation. Politicians should stick to a particular event that is taking place. We should not come in and start putting up our agendas. When you, for example, you go to attend these national events, you don't start talking about things that do not relate to the particular topic. So it is important that we stick to the same and advise. We stick to the topic, in short, unlike what we see today, or we used to see, where politicians take over and turn everything into their own business and start campaigning. Even when there's a funeral, there's a church service, to them, instead of going to church to pray or going on a funeral to show solidarity or to mourn, they politicize things, including even the government, our officials, instead of addressing a particular issue that is pressing the issue on the particular celebration, they go out of topic and start talking about something that benefits them. To me, I find that really to be unfair and unreasonable, and we should desist from that. But yes, national events, politicians are welcome, but we should stick to a particular topic, the specific event issue, unlike jumping the gun and start mixing. Mwaleta amakadas, mwaleta mwe regalia, mwaleta mwe. We are not serious. So I agree also with Nondo that youths that take up the law into their own hands and decide to go ahead just because their bosses they are looking. Of course, they will be guilty in their own capacity. They cannot start committing assault and claim that they are innocent. No, the law will visit them as it is, as they are, in their individual capacity. Thank you.
Mukelabai, before you go, you've talked about the regalia. People, ama political regalia. Don't you think that literally, for me, there's nothing wrong, because this is just shows that in each and every political party, if you're having the youth events or on the National Youth Day, there are youths from the political party. It is. So they also have to wear their identity. Ama youths baku ZESCO bafuara regalia ya ama working uniform ya ZESCO na bakuma political parties. Let them wear those regalia. What is wrong with them putting on those? Because it's just for their identity. So we have Wamayutsi Babaku, let the PF put on their PF regalia, let the UPND put on their UPND regalia, let CF put on their regalia. I don't see anything wrong, and I don't see how regalia will be an issue at the national events. As long as that population is in that political party, they have to be recognized. What is your reaction to that?
I totally agree with you. People should stick to they should just, in short, just be in their lane and mind their own business, and they stick to the particular event that they have come out for, to give either support or to show solidarity. That is what they are supposed to do. When it comes to regalia, the regalia issue has already been perpetrated by the same politicians who happened to be violent, who are busy funding these youths to say, when you see certain individual in a certain area putting on a certain type of, so it all started or mushroomed from there. And they think that when they are in power, when the government, the party in power there's an event, they should be the ones superior to supersede. They should not allow other political parties to put on certain to their regalia. It's like an insult, and hence those pockets of violence that you used to see where people were being banned from not crossing over to a certain area. This is a no-flying zone for a certain. If you are found with this guy who beat you, that is just uncivilized, and that is just foolishness, in short. And that is where now leadership should step up, show control. I like the way this current government stood on the issue of violence, that there will be no cadarism. And we all know that cadarism was related to violence. You saw what used to happen in the previous regime, and those are the things that we are trying to look. If the previous regime also came up with a policy, zero tolerance of violence, we were going to be a peaceful nation. However, today we see those pockets coming up. So we should still condemn. If they are the ruling party and coming up with such kind of behavior of wanting to divide the nation by political violence, let's condemn them the way it is. And we should shame also the leadership that you are the people.
Mukelabai, time up. We'll get back to you. Please hold your thought. CJ, over to you.
Thank you very much, Himba. I'll bring in Chairman Chalwe just to respond to give his view on the same politicizing of national events and the regalia that we are seeing different parties wearing during national events. Chairman, your submission.
Thank you. Just to confirm that you can get me. I'm using someone else's handset.
Okay, we can get you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Several issues. Number one, the there is an issue that Comrade Nondo
Chairman,
has.
just a reminder, you are just responding. You've not gone into your main submission. You are responding to those issues that CJ has raised. So you're not yet into your main submission. You're responding to the issues that CJ has raised.
Ah, okay. All right. So the major issue so far is that of wearing party regalia on national events. I think that's the issue we are responding to. Yes?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So on that one, first and foremost, from what Comrade Mukelabai is saying, it's something that we have thought about deeply as a CF, and we have tried to interpret the implication of the current situation. Allow me to submit that Comrade Mukelabai and the UPND are not yet in a position to determine whether we do not have political violence or not. Because in 2021, we experienced a very interesting phenomenon in the Zambian political platform. And this was, in a way, a reset button for the entire nation. The choice of the UPND, many have advanced that it was because people are looking for a change, an immediate change from the past regime. And whatever was later on accepted as being part of the government of Zambian governance system was because the Zambian people willed it. So first and foremost, I would wish to say that we are having this level of peace, this level of perceived non-cadreism, is because the Zambian people are very categorical. The reason why PF came out, all the opposition political parties, including the PF, have admitted that cadreism was the reason why the people woke up early in the morning on that fateful day and made a very loud, clear choice that we need the PF out, because they were tired of political violence, they were tired of cadreism, they were tired of unruly behavior on the political platform. Okay. That being the case, we would not assume that they are in a position as of now to decide that the peace we are experiencing is solely their responsibility. I take it away from them and say it is a responsibility of the Zambian people. It is not. Sorry, it's just the Zambian people who went.
Chairman Chalwe, are you able to get me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The time allocated to the response is up. Perhaps you can go into your main submission now. So you have 5 minutes to make your submission.
Thank you so much. So as I conclude and go into my submission, the point I'm getting at is, while UPND may wish to glorify itself and say we have brought this, I wish to point out that it was the Zambian people's choice. They stated that if anyone is going to lead us 2021 going forward, we want a party that is going to be intolerant to cadreism and violent behavior on the political platform. I think that's why most of us who voted for UPND went to vote. Not that they should come out and begin to assume that it was them who willed the lack of political violence. No. That is not the case. I think let's give credit where it is due. It is the Zambian people that made the final choice and said, no more political violence. Let's have a peaceful environment. Something that the PF have said we have repented over, although sometimes you want to wonder. The UPND have made a commitment to no political violence. That is why we have kept them. That's why they are being kept by the people. And now that this is the case.
May I interject or reiterate?
I was about to do that.
The 5 minutes.
I think, Nondo, you can go ahead.
No,
Okay,
no,
sorry,
the 5
sorry.
minutes is not yet.
Go first,
done.
my brother. I'll come in later.
Let's
Because
give
you
him
you
five.
came first.
No, let's give him 5 minutes. Let him finish his
Oh,
5 minutes. Then we'll come in,
I
comrades.
thought his 5 minutes didn't start because we didn't see the clock up. Okay, it's
Okay,
okay. Let him.
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
a technicality on the timer.
Thank you. You can now start the 5 minutes.
I-
No,
I-
no,
I-
no, no, not now.
You've
Not to
already
start.
done. You've already done 2 minutes, so 3 minutes remaining.
Surely the way
Mm,
I've been cutting and coming back 5 minutes, you can even start it now.
that's political violence.
Please proceed. Please
All right,
proceed,
thank you.
Chairman.
Now that we are settled that actually the truth of the matter is that the Zambian people willed it, the true test of whether Zambia has changed and reformed towards the non-political violent approach to politics won't be seen in 2025 when people begin to organize themselves for elections. The true colors of the different political parties will be seen. That's very vital. But do we have confidence now that it is true that the opposition has reformed? And is it also true that the UPND, the ruling party, has reformed and has no interest in violence? I think all the evidences so far is showing that the makings of political violence has not gone anywhere. The government in place, we have seen them. The other time we noticed that the government in place, the UPND, the cadres were manhandling a PF cadre publicly and on camera. And we have seen other pockets of violence being perpetuated. The other time we saw, I think it was Chirufya Tayali in Chingola or Mufulira. He was being manhandled and chased out of the city of Chingola. To sit and then assume that there is no political violence is us misleading ourselves. Because the truth is, it is still there. Like corruption, it is still there. And it needs to be fought by everyone, meaning a Zambian politician or any leader of this nation. So my submission in summary is simply that, one, we are yet to experience a full-blown election period where the test of the desire for power is going to be shown whether it can lead to violence or not. And definitely the opposition will be looking for power. And those who are in power will be threatened by those who wish to get power from them. Are they going to go about it in a non-violent way? We don't know, but I surely doubt, because all the makings of the UPND is showing that when that time comes and they are unhinged, they are likely to be very violent. This is a recorded session. So I believe that we will come back and compare notes and ask ourselves, is it true that there's no violence, or is it true that there's violence? So at that point, we'll be using some evidences now to show that, but as it is right now, we are incapable of completely saying that the UPND has brought about a free environment where there is no violence. Violence is almost everywhere and anywhere on the political platform. I submit. I can see my time is up.
Thank you so much, Comrade. We had a reaction from Comrade Nondo. I'll go with Comrade Nondo first.
Hello.
Comrade Nondo, your reaction? No, we have lost Comrade Nondo. Mukelabai, your reaction? Mukelabai, your reaction?
Thank you. Why are my brothers failing to connect with their internet, please?
I'm sure
to do something.
even them they can't answer that one, Mukelabai. Your submission, please.
It's Zambia.
I know. Mibombele my politicians tusala.
Mukelabai, time is running for your reaction.
Oh, really? Okay. What citizen first, brother chairman?
Yes, sir.
I heard you, my brother, about what you said, especially when you talked about that it was the will of the people that chose to allow the free violent scenario in our country, and they are the people that our people decided and then chose this government. So UPND government should not take credit for having stopped or having this program of zero tolerance of cadreism and the political violence. So I find that, and when there's the pocket of violence that comes in, then we go back to UPND and say, hey, look, you are the ones that caused this, yet you are in power. And then when we talk about leadership, and then we want to exclude them from being the people that are superheading or superintending over the nation, and that are busy trying to clean up the system. It hasn't been easy. It was just a directive, a presidential directive, not that it's a law. The president just stood there will be no cadreism. And of course, we expect other pockets of violence coming out from people that we spoke earlier that do not want, they are just naturally violent. They just don't want to change. Even when they jump from one political party to another, they will come.
Mukelabai, has cadreism finished in our country?
Cadreism is actually is under control. It's under control, and we can tell that those that are busy committing those or busy violent and using cadreism, they are being rounded up and they are being apprehended and arrested.
Thank you
those
so
that
much.
are not apprehended or arrested or prosecuted, there must be some other explanation that the people in authority should tell us why they can't prosecute.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mukelabai. Nondo, your reaction.
Sometimes I feel so sad for my country that whenever we are discussing something that concerns our nation, we happen to have a position already instead of having a collective position on a wrong thing that is happening in our country. We have some reservation to justify. I always say Mukelabai can be forgiven on many issues because he is not in Zambia. My brother, there are a lot of things that are happening today that if you were here, you would begin to wonder, saying, is this true that this is what people really wanted in terms of change of government? When you say cadreism has been brought under control, it's not true. I will give very fresh and recent, happenings. In the Copper Belt, where the president was for over 7 days, a provincial youth chair stands on a podium and begin to make political statements that is directly advocating for violence, telling the other opponents to say, the amnesty we gave you, because they feel because they are in power, they can give amnesty to others. It's up to them to decide who does politics or not. So the statement he made was, the amnesty that UPND youths gave to the PF came to an end. So what they are saying is that PF youths will never participate in any national event in the Copper Belt unless somewhere else. not in the Copper Belt. Now, remember, Himba, we are talking about national events. A national event is not a political party's event. UPND, besides it being a party in power, it's a political party just like any other political party. So it cannot claim to be national. It is a political party. When we talk about national events, we are talking about events that every citizen can freely participate. We have people
Thank
that
you.
are coming from civil society organizations. We have churches. We have NGOs. They are non-political players. This
Thank
is
you so
why
much,
they all
Comrade
come to
Nondo.
participate. Now, let me just conclude to qualify my argument is that when that boy in the Copper Belt was making those threats, according to the law, he was supposed to be visited by the police or the president himself, who stands time and again preaching about zero tolerance to political violence, should have actually, or any other senior member of the UPND should have taken action to reprimand that boy, because the message he was sending to other youths is that there's no any PF who will be allowed to do or to participate in national events. And to them, it was okay.
Thank you so much, Comrade Nondo.
So,
Comrade Chira, your reaction to this response from
That youth was just using the PF narrative or give them their own medicine.
Mukelabai,
When we know,
I'll come back to you. Comrade Chilwa, your response from these two reactions.
Comrade Chalwe.
Oh, Chalwe. Sorry, please. It's Comrade Chalwe. Sorry,
I was looking for the Comrade Chirwa now.
Sorry, Comrade Chalwe, please. Am I forgiven?
Completely.
Thank you so much. Your reaction from the two, your response from the two reactions from our two comrades.
My reaction is supposed to be a bit longer. I hope you tolerate me because it couples with what Comrade Nondo was saying at the beginning concerning the attitude that the politicians themselves are going to make a payment to cause the young people to become cadres. I hope I put it right, I think. Can you get me?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
Yes, and I've been yearning to say something about the same, so please indulge me.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Comrade Nondo made some very serious observations, and I think they are observations of the same, of everybody here, that as politicians, we have a tendency of abusing the young people, usually turning them into cadres who, because of a coin, are ready to do anything for us or for the politicians that are involved. And we ask ourselves, whose fault is it? On one side, the young people are looking for food. Like he said, they're looking for a bag of mealie meal. They're looking for something to see them go through a day. And likely to have a lot of cadres in the future. As long as there is a bad economy, and this economy we are in with the UPND, and I want to borrow Comrade Nondo's words by saying maybe Comrade Mukelabai is not in Zambia to feel the pain of the economy. When you want to buy fuel as it is right now, let's just round it off to the nearest 10. You agree with me that we are buying it at 30 kwacha per liter.
and that's everywhere in the world, not Zambia.
In our country, it is even compounded by other factors like lack of the subsidies and so on, but that's a discussion for another day. We have been exposed to the true brand of the world economy right now. So given all those...
UPND used to refuse in those days. They never
Come again?
listened. I'm saying which UPND never accepted. When
I
they
wish
were in the opposition.
I wish
Okay.
Comrade Nondo, Comrade, you'd allow me to finish because I'm not one to have a punch for punch. I want your idea is complete, my idea is complete. Then we share into the. I always give you a time to finish without interjecting you.
Okay, Chairman Chalwe, you have 1 minute in which to make your response. So please, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So that being the case, number one, it is impossible for us to make an assumption that Kadarism has been put under control. We are sitting on a time bomb. As long as the economy of the country is bad, people are failing to buy a bag of mealie meal. People are paying 30 kwacha for 1 liter of fuel. And there are many other issues like fertilizer and whatnot. Then just know that for now, people may seem to be content, but they are not. At an opportune time, you fail to control because they will erupt. As long as you have covered up a space and it is not able to vent its pressure, when the time comes for it to react, you will not like it. So I refuse. If you are to tell us that Kadarism has been contained, we are just saying you are forcing a containment that is non-existent. One day it will erupt, and it will be to the detriment of our society. I submit.
Okay.
May I just come in and interject? Fair na time. You are switching off the mic.
You want to interject an interjection? How do you interject an interjection?
Yeah, it can be an interjection within an interjection. It's okay.
Okay.
Because our brother here has brought out issues that needs to be intercepted and discussed further. We can't leave it just like that.
Yes,
go ahead.
If I allow you to interject to that interjection, it means we'll continue discussing the same topic, because he was just responding to what you had interjected with. So allow me to make a move
I can't make a rebuttal to that if he just alleged false.
No, sir.
But TJ, I propose that you allow him, because
thank you.
I may have brought out issues.
I am because we are not going to be fair. Some of us just submitted once, and we also want to talk. So, moderator, can you be in charge?
Just give him a minute so that he rebuts if it's necessary.
No.
Okay,
you can't rebut.
So what we are going to do is this: if he wants to rebuttal to this one, he'll add it during his concluding remarks. But for now, let us move, because time is not with us. It will be up to him whether to put it during his time that will be allocated for the conclusion.
Now I understand why. So rules are being made as we go. Anyway, go ahead. No. It's your platform. So we are just following we labor through your instruction.
Okay. So we proceed. Himba, you wanted to come in?
We read the comments, CJ. Let's read the comments. Over to you, CJ.
Okay. Okay, so we have a comment from Wallens. Evening to you all. Political violence must be condemned and stopped. Not good for economy and investors. Unfortunately, the violence was not condemned with previous government. No one in PF talked against. They were all quiet, including Comrade Nondo. Okay. Few young people lost lives. Americans and commandos in PF beating people. Women in markets were harassed and some beaten. So we should appreciate that UPND government are against Kadarism, and they are arresting those perpetrators of, I think that should be violence. The message cuts there. We have
we have Percy there. The difference is those who attacked Chilufya Tayali forced the law. Actually, it's like, okay, forced the law. In the PF, no one would have faced the law. Okay, thank you so much. I would love Comrade Nondo to react to Wallace's comment. Comrade Nondo, may you please react to that?
Thank you very much. I wanted to be emotional, but I'm back in my normal state.
Why?
That Wallace boy, yeah.
Why?
Because it's so painful that, you know, the UPND would always want to paint a picture as if they're angels. They are saying in PF violence was not condemned, but how many people were sent to prison? How many people were killed by UPND themselves? We lost Conga during election, on the day of elections. They can't tell me to say Conga and his colleagues were agitating violence. They were actually attacked by UPND and subsequently killed him, and they don't want to talk about it. When you go to Mongu, where my brother-in-law lost his life, it was the UPND actually that advanced that violence. So they don't want to talk about all this violence that are done by UPND. And they keep on saying no one condemned. So those that attacked Chilufya Tayali in Chingola have not been arrested. So how are they going to face the law? The boy we are just talking about in the Copper Belt in Kitwe, in the presence of the president when he was in that area, making such stupid remarks, and the senior members of the UPND.
The word stupid is too strong.
But when you are proposing violence, is that not stupidity? Stupidity is not an insult. It's just a thing that defines. Kutumpa. Now president wala libonfiere. Kutumpo. And umwana letumpa mulemutamba. So meaning you are in support of whatever he's saying. So today, UPND cannot come and convince us to say, no, we are controlling violence. There's no political violence. There's no this. We witnessed what happened in Kabushi. All of you want to pretend as if you are not seeing what is happening. We are not refusing that previously there were no political violence. Political violence was there. But let's look at our current trajectory. Are we going to replicate what was happening, or we are here to show that, yes, there's change? I heard Mukelabai is saying, no, that boy was just giving PF, you know, whatever they were doing.
Thank you so much.
Meaning there's no change. There's no change. UPND will continue with violence because they are justifying to say PF was also violent. So let's not talk about the end of political violence. Political violence is there. What has changed is just government. From PF to UPND.
Let's have a break for a minute. Personally, I truly believe political violence, it's a process that can never stop in a twinkle of an eye. And we need to keep on talking, condemn it. We need to unite our hands and talk about it. We'll meet on the other side. The break, Mr. Director. tuwatotela sana pantu ayama videos tuwamonapa amaligari ayonsomo yalimwelya yekafye yaba CF etatulabona palya so nshishibe abalela ndati nibalya nshishibe pantu yonza amaligalya omwe yalimulya londe tutatumwenepo fye bantu baleta mpe enkondo. Over to you, CJ.
Yeah, apologies for my connectivity challenge there. Okay, so I think, look, we can proceed to the concluding phase. And right about now, okay, sorry. As we'll be concluding, I would like each participant to touch on 3 things as they are making their submissions. In terms of regalia and the political parties gatherings and what we are seeing on these national events, is it really possible that all political parties can be politically active during these events and not get into conflict or fights? Because we see there's a lot of chanting, and that chanting is usually provocative. Is it really feasible that on national events, if we have all political parties gathering in such manner, there won't be any violence and provocations? Number 2, we've seen mostly that most political leaders shun these national events. These are events that are supposed to be unifying events where different political parties and leaders are able to sit down for the common purpose of that particular event. But we see that these events are shunned. Most of the time they're boycotted by leaders. And lastly, what is the way forward, your proposed way forward to handle this political violence that we see during national events? So I'm going to start with Comrade Chalwe. From Chairman Chalwe, then we'll proceed to Mukelabai, and then Comrade Nondo will conclude. So, Chairman, over to you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I read somewhere, I hope you can get me clearly. I read somewhere in a book entitled The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and it was written by Paul Freire, actually, for those if you would wish to make reference. It makes some very, very important observations, which are basically philosophical, if you wish. It talks about the dehumanization of a person. And it also implies the dehumanization of the entire population. And by implication, it asks major questions, very fundamental questions. The first question being, who is dehumanized? Why are they dehumanized? So the first answer is, who is dehumanized? It's us, the people. You, CJ, Madam Himba, Mukelabai, and Nondo, all of us dehumanized. Because in our society, we are made to perceive one group as having the right to certain things and the other being followers in their lot. It is not normal for a person to accept that his position in life is to be a cadre who is going to lift a stone on behalf of another person and stone them. And for the other person to stand up and know that there exists another person whose job is to be given money so that he can go and lift a stone as a cadre and fight another person. The one who is a politician with a mind of using cadres is dehumanized because he's not in his normal state. The normal state should be such that I have respect for other people to know that I should not put them in harm's way. And in the same way, the other person, if he is humanized, he's a normal human being, he's going he's not going to accept a position where he must go out and commit violence on behalf of another person. Now, I'm laying a foundation to make an argument that we have a very confused society where me as a leader, I find it normal to hire a person to operate as a source of violence in a community we live in, and that the other person also is ready to receive a coin in order to commit violence. Now, for us to normalize such a situation, we must have leaders who think, leaders like Nelson Mandela, leaders who are able to know the philosophical foundation, psychological settlement of the people that are involved. When we go out and wear a regalia with that form of thinking, you will not see your friend as a danger. And as the citizens first, allow me to say this, we perceive it that way. And I think we have seen it also from our president. I'm sorry, I have to say this. He has been one who proposes peace. He's not someone who you can say we have seen him in the state of violence. No. We see the two opposing camps, usually the PF and the UPND, proposing violence most of the time. And if there will be violence, it's not the CF you are anticipating will be fighting, it's these two. We wish that their leaders together can grow beyond violence and begin to see that we have a bigger responsibility than to dehumanize our people and be responsible for the violence that the country might be going through. It's unfortunate my time somehow is moving faster than the rest. I don't know what Mukelabai is doing. I submit. There's nothing I can.
Now that
Thank you very much, Mukelabai. Please,
I've been
your concluding
politically,
submissions.
I've been politically violated. Anyway, thank you, brother. Chalwe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your contribution. That is how it ought to be done. But you should not remove your president completely out of the picture, because he was one of the people that was putting on those green regalias. So he is one of the people, and he was there and did nothing. And to hear today that he should come here and praise that he's promoting, which is a good thing. We are happy for that stance, that he does not want to involve into violence and stuff, corruption and stuff, because that's why he even resigned. I like that stance of him. That was very brave of him. The reason why the people, the opposition, are talking about the reason why PF was kicked out, you always border your reasoning on Kadarism. That's the reason why PF was removed. That was just one of the reasons why the Zambian people said no more Kadarism, no more violations of, no more violence. People died, not just one or two individuals. People died during the leadership of ECL. And the pockets of violence were all over the country. And that is the reason why people decided, okay, enough is enough. And of course, there are other contributing factors. There was so much corruption. Hari Kalava had to just say, no, Vane, I know you are my friends. I am leaving. And this is where now, it's through the corruption, the stinking corruption that was in PF, that actually saw the birth of your party, Mr. Chalwe. So we should appreciate, we should thank Mukelabai, but Mukelabai did nothing during that time. The political violence was there, and we kicked the people out, and we should not even think of comparing to what used to happen and to what is happening currently right now. People were traumatized in the country. The whole nation was traumatized. That's why when they see PF, anyone that was on the receiving end during PF, the moment they see a regalia of PF, do you know what they do? They connect them to Apatwa Ponokwa. Apa, we are in trouble. They are going to kill us. But what is happening? The current leadership has told its people, we know you may suffer secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is where you were traumatized, and the moment you see the person that abused you, that bullied you, coming back, walking freely on the street, you also feel more ashamed again. It's like you are just resurrecting those old memories. So what you see, these UPND today, some of the UPND that are committing these pockets of violence here and there, threatening violence, you know they are being visited by the law and they are even arrested. We know even people that are involved in corrupt activities during this time who are still thinking that they can go scot-free like they used to scot-free in the PF regime. They are being apprehended, they are being charged, they are going to court. The things that we never used to see during the previous regime. So for us to come here and say, no, we see this pocket of violence because of this is what used to happen. No. Let's just say it the way it is. The leadership is not tolerating political violence in this current leadership. And what we see, this pocket of violence coming up, mushrooming here and there, the leadership is under control. And people are being apprehended and locked up, unlike what used to happen during the previous regime. Hence, kicking them out. And they are out and they shall never come back because they are giving us secondary trauma.
Mukelabai, you are not God to decide and you can't decide on us as the Zambian people.
That is politics.
You,
That was a political statement, Mami. Political statement.
Thank you very much. We are joined with Percy Chama in the studio. Mr. Chama, good evening and welcome to Ubuntu channel. Please make your submission in 2 minutes.
I hope I'll manage.
Starting now. Please go ahead.
All right. Basically, thank you for having me, and thank you to our guests. Myself, there's one point of which I didn't agree with the panelists, and you also have to. We have to praise when something is good. Let me start with Tayari. People who attacked Tayari, they were arrested.
Sorry, Mr. Chama. What political jacket are you wearing? Which one?
MMD.
Okay.
The people who attacked Tayari were arrested. All the media houses in Zambia at the moment were reporting what I'm saying right now. And I also confirmed it through some journalists I know in Zambia. So you saying that those people who attacked Tayari in the Copper Belt recently were not arrested, that's not a good statement. That's one. Two, look at that lady who was kicked and put from pillar to post in the Copper Belt by cadres, PF cadres, that time when PF was in power. That boy hasn't been arrested. That's the difference. Yes, cadreism is not finished. I agree 100%. But the difference is it's not as common as it was. Right now, you can wear a PF regalia at City Market. Nobody will come and beat you up for wearing that. So let's praise where praise is due. Yes, I understand that cadreism can't just end like that. But we also have to point out that the current government at least is doing much better. I'll leave it there because I don't have enough time. That's all I wanted to say, but I had a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we wrap up, I would like each participant just to hint on two things, because I know I had given a loaded question. Okay, okay, hoping, okay, right. I've seen chairman has dropped out. I really wanted to hear the proposal of the way forward from each participant, because I haven't gotten that bit, what they propose should be done. Okay, so since we have Mukelabai, Mukelabai, I'll allow you just to give in 2 minutes what you propose should be done so that this political violence during national events can be gotten rid of. What is your proposal? What is your solution to this?
We have laws already that are in place that we can still utilize, and or we can ask the law enforcers to keep an eye. And of course, political leadership should also keep an eye to make sure that these political violence during national events should be combated. And also the citizens, you use your gadgets. Use your gadgets when things of like that of that kind are happening. Record them and report such people to the authorities. Or you can also exercise a citizen arrest. You can, if you stand by for the people, you stand with the law. The legislatures should also look into this instead of politicking, trying to get some likes or make the name in parliament. They should also come up with legislatures, pieces of legislatures that they can introduce on the floor of the house, or that will try to combat up this, or to actually stop this kind of behavior by political parties or even the people that are in the ruling parties. But we like, for now, the current leadership. We see that they are trying their efforts to control the cadalism and the pocket of violences, which is a good thing. And its leadership, we should observe and should practice what we preach instead of just tolerating others just because they belong to your party. No, we don't want to see that. We want you to be fair and apply the law equitably, not where you discriminate, you prosecute one group and leave certain group. That will eradicate the trust that the people voted for you. The people that voted for you gave you. So it is important that the leadership should show no favoritism.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mukelabai. Chairman Chalwe, under 2 minutes, what is the way forward? What is your solution to the problem of political violence during national events?
The solution is humanization and instilling on the minds of the people. A revolution happens because of the people. If you come up and make pronouncements of peace, which is non-existent, but rather it is just something that is suffocating a certain section of people, it has not been birthed out of conviction, you may find yourself having scored for a short while and lose in the long term. We may end up having cosmetic solutions such that towards the elections of 2026, we begin to see more violence because those who are in power, because of bad economy, they have no choice but to defend themselves. They thought they would perform, but they end up failing to perform. And because your performance is not equivalent to the promises you gave, you end up being violent to threaten. The cycle is the same. in the end, why all political parties turn violent is because there's a threat of going out. Who threatens them? It's the people when they're no longer pleased with what they are seeing. So as citizens first, on our part, we are saying, let the current government perform. Their threat is not from the opposing camps. Their threat is the same people who voted them in. As long as they do not deliver, don't worry about the cadres, don't worry about citizens first. Us will put our books in order and make our presentations. The threat that Citizens First has become a preferred political party is what will cause not us to be violent. Usually it's the government in power that usually turns out to be violent. So it's their job to make sure that their books are in order. The best way to combat this is that the government in place must perform to the happiness of the citizens. Then you will not worry about cadarism, because nobody is going to go out there looking for a coin and getting money from someone so that they can commit atrocities and violence on behalf of another person. No, let the government of the day perform. It's the easiest remedy for fighting cadarism. I submit on behalf of Citizens First.
Thank you so much, comrades, and thank you so much, Comrade Chalwe.
Yes.
I would have really loved Comrade Nondo to react to some key issues that has been raised towards the end, but it's unfortunate that he couldn't come through because of the internet problem. I hope we'll be able to work out all these connectivity problems we are having, such that we educate our masses and we deliver the positive messages to the Zambian people. Hope our leaders from all the political parties, civil society, and the churches, which decides ukufisa mainga fiakosa, the church likes to hide when the water is boiling. I only hope now they'll take a different position, that where they need to stand up and defend the Zambian people through their constitution, they'll come out. And
not the current churches, they are oiled by dirty money.
I agree with Comrade Mukelabai. The current page is compromised. It is patronized by too many political parties that have lost their identity.
Thank you so much, comrades, for those very strong submissions. I hope the church leaders are hearing that I'm a brown envelopes mupoka kunuma behind the pulpit. Please let us respect the pulpit, that the pulpit should be used to protect the integrity and the Zambian people at large. Our political leaders, violence is in all the political parties. Tapali nokulanda tabata balimo, abata babako, all the political players, you have a hand.
Let's see if we are not violent.
Please, never born again.
All the
born again.
So all the political parties, whoever you are, wherever you are, you've got a role to play to end the political violence in our country and stop using the young people as tools for violence. Please empower our young people. Please mentor our young people to be responsible youths, to be responsible leaders, to be entrepreneurs. Not this, I don't know whether throwing stones is part of entrepreneur in our country. We condemn it. And we pray that you are going to provide very good leaders from this generation, because we are even going into leadership crisis in our country, because once you've turned them into throwing stones, because definitely you are not staying forever. Having said that, I want to thank you, the panelists, for the brilliant submission and for your time. And please, tepakuleka mupitilishe ukula to stand up to defend the Constitution of Zambia. To our viewers who've been with us throughout the program, we salute you and we recognize your input.
Madam
To our Ubuntu crew,
before you close, I wanted to suggest that Nondo, if the internet has failed him, he can send even an SMS, even to this program, so that we can read his concluding remarks. Because there are so many ways to trap a monkey or to kill a rat.
No, Mukelabai, Nondo, you come
No,
back to
what I'm
submit.
saying, it's a suggestion that ngaya kana internet, we can type.
Okay, we'll use
to
that
contribute.
Okay, we'll use that.
He can type and we can read his position.
Thank you so much.
I also wanted him to come in, and today he has really been.
Thank you so much. We are going to use that method on our next program if he drops out. Thank you so much. And I don't want you to talk about Nondo because he's not here to defend himself. You are going to talk to him when he's here to defend himself. Our crew there.
This was not about defense. It was just an appreciating and acknowledging our brother.
Team, thank you so much.
I miss him already.
Thank you so much, and God be with you. Until next time when we meet on the same program. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mukelabai.